Good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to this live. And this is a part of the Good Morning Show, which is the people's voice. So I know we haven't been on for a little bit, but we are back from this week, and we will be having our ongoing shows with our ongoing guests discussing various issues in Guyana and also talking about different social activities taking place in this beautiful country of ours. Today, I do have an interesting guest who will be with us here today, and she's currently waiting in the studio. So I just want you guys to share this live and also thank you for those who are listening. And as the live built up, I will be giving you some more information in respect to my guest here today. So, with no further ado, I will go straight into our discussion this morning. And we will take it from there. So, good morning and welcome to News Guyana 24 Live. And today we're excited to shine a spotlight on one of Guyana's most dynamic literacy voices. Joining us is Jasmine Payne, an accomplished author, editor, and also writing coach whose debut psychological thriller, Leech, has already made waves. Now, this groundbreaking novel not only cements her as the first female Guyanese writer residing in Guyana, amazing, congratulations, to publish a full length thriller, but also explores powerful themes of obsession, identity, and the stories that define us, which is I mean, if you look at the book and everything that Jasmine has been putting out so far, really interesting. And also, Jasmine did mention that the sales of the book so far has been going really good. So, if you have not got the chance to get a copy of this book, you can go ahead and do so. All right. Now, Jasmine's literary journey began early from winning a UNICEF poetry competition at just 11 years old. What an amazing thing! To a career spanning journalism, editing, and also mentoring young writers across the region. Now, with her BA in English from the University of London and an MBA in marketing, she brings both creative brilliance and professional insight to her work. So today, we will be talking about her journey, matter of fact, novel, Leech, and the future of Guyanese literature. Okay, so thank you so much. I want to thank my guests for coming on this show. So, with no further ado, what I will do, I will welcome Jasmine, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us. And I will go ahead and bring Jasmine on screen as she's waiting for us here. So, here we go.
Hi. Hi
Hey,
there,
good morning,
Donston.
Jasmine. How are you doing
Good
today?
morning. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Always happy to talk about writing.
Awesome, awesome. It is not something that every Guyanese like to do.
Oh, and it's something that fulfills my entire life. So,
Great, great. And can you tell us a
yeah.
little bit more about that? Why does writing fulfill your entire life?
It's so weird. I have no idea. It's kind of like, people talk about your soulmate. When you meet your soulmate, you don't question it, right? So
That's
for
right.
me, it's just writing. When I just think about writing, it's so much joy and so much passion. So just give me anything to write and I'll just delve right into it. And I've always been that way for as long as I remember.
Okay, great. Well, I'm hoping that at the end of this show, a lot of people who probably hates writing because
Mhm.
writing obviously it comes with a special technique. All right.
It does. Yes.
And I remember when I was in journalism school, I prefer being on camera and probably reading from a script
Hmm.
or something like that instead of me
Yes.
having to write a story. And you're
Yeah.
also a journalist as well. So what was that experience like for you?
Well, I did have the privilege. I want to say privilege because sometimes when you get into journalism, you have to choose whether it's radio, TV. But thankfully, when I got into it, I joined a company that had both a newspaper and a television component. So very early in the career, I was able to do both. But writing, of course, feature writing in particular, really caught my attention because you got to do the long form journalism, as they call it.
Yes.
But I think just being able to be that responsible person to disseminate news was a very privileged position that I was happy to be able to experience.
Awesome. Awesome. And then coming out of that, we have Leech.
Yes. Yes, Leech has been a long time in the making.
Yes.
Born from a dream. I hate to make it sound cliched, but born from a dream. I just woke up one day and I had all these little quotes in my head. And so I'm wondering, who is this British man talking to me? so, so I wrote it down, and then I realized it was a very sinister character. So I said,
Yes.
maybe I'm supposed to make my own villain. So let's see where that goes. So the story came, and you got to write it as it goes.
Interesting, because I was trying to get a little bit of, I started to read the book online on Amazon. Guys, if you're listening right now, you can find Leech on Amazon.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So while you're listening, you can go right there right now and purchase your book. Okay. So if you're in Canada, if you're in the United States, I'm not sure about Guyana.
Yeah.
Jasmine is going to speak to that. But if you are in
You
Canada,
can if you're in Guyana.
you can reach out to her directly and get your book. Yeah. So as I was reading the book, and
Yes.
it kind of gripped me from the beginning. I was like, you know what? Because I don't like to read from a device. I want to get the book. So I didn't
Mm,
get a chance to
yeah.
purchase the book and so forth. But what really
Okay.
inspired you to write Leash? Let's talk about that.
So the very first idea, remember I told you I had this dream and I was wondering if it was this sinister character. And when you think back about the time that I wanted to write, which was Victorian era English, the
Yes.
biggest sinister character that everyone talked about was Jack the Ripper. So initially that's who I wanted to make him into. But then I decided to go my own direction and create my own villain. So that's an eventually what ended up happening. And of course you have the Guyanese component in it. Because you can't write a story from Guyana, you're not putting some sort of
That's
Guyanese-ness
right.
in it. I mean, that's your whole big opportunity, right? To put in a message there. So there's the writer that he meets to tell his story is Guyanese. So they make this very bad partnership where she runs mad. So it's it's
Which
very
is kind of
interesting.
typical, right?
Yeah, right. So you meet somebody, you think that they're your savior, they're your ticket out, and then they end up driving you crazy. So it's a cautionary tale of sorts as well.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So this book, in terms of the design of the cover, and if guys can
Yes.
see, there's a video too at the back there. I'm not sure how you created all of this. Like, how did this come into being?
So this is becoming quite the popular topic, and it is with the help of AI. Now, in the writing world, you get into some trouble as an author once they see you using AI. But I have a very stern rule about that. Your creative work, your writing does not touch AI. You do not put it in there, because if you do that, you're basically signing yourself up to have your work stolen, right? So all
Okay.
of your creative writing, your work, you keep that to yourself. Let that remain authentically you. But one thing that I actually enjoyed AI for was helping me to visualize my book. The characters that I had drawn 11 years ago, I was able to plug them into AI and ask them to make realistic characters. And so they used my ideas, my creations, and made it into real people
Yeah.
in the video, to the point that there's even a trailer that I was able to visualize all the scenes of my book like a movie.
Nice.
For the cover as well, I had some help with AI, and that was more of an eventual thing because I did reach out to about four cover artists, both locally and overseas, and I was trying to get it, back and forth, back and forth. You're paying all this money, and they just weren't getting it right. So I ended up sketching what I wanted, which was a very simple scene within the book. His one of his last scenes. And I put it on the cover and I asked AI to render it for me. And
That's
similarly, you know, it did. So I think you and I were discussing offline,
yes.
with AI, you have to be very, very careful. There are advantages and disadvantages. You have to remember it's a tool. And when it comes to your creative work, you cannot let it drive that content. You have to still be in the center and keep it as far away as possible. But there are certain other things that it can really work well to help you to do.
That's an entire different conversation because we
It is. Because
we
I,
know the
I
current
can't even keep it
administration.
short because there's so
Yes.
much that you can say.
we know
Yeah.
the administration is currently introducing some businesses in respect to AI. And
Yes.
if I can say, when I started using AI, because I was a little bit negative at first as well, and then
So
when I
was
started
I.
to
Yeah.
use it, I
Yeah.
realized how important it is. So instead of
Yeah.
spending all this money to get someone to create a logo, to do different things and so forth,
Yeah.
I can do a great job in certain area
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
mentioned, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And AI did help you to create that cover, the beautiful
Yes.
that we're seeing right now too as well, which is really amazing. All right,
Yes.
so going on about this book, the novel explores obsession and identity. What message
Yeah.
do you want to what message do you want your readers to take away from it?
Well, the main message really is, or one of the main messages is, just be careful how, I don't want to say desperate, but how much you're looking for recognition, right?
Oh,
In the book, each of the main characters has this high stake of being recognized for something. There's the author, she wants to write her best-selling novel. There's the main antagonist or the anti-hero, which is Leech. He wants his legacy to live on, so he wants to write all of his bad acts into history. And then there's the doctor who's trying to help Ariane, the writer, and he wants to help at the expense, well, with the condition that he's going to get this fame, and he's
yes,
going to be able to get, his marriage is going to be better, and he's going to prove to everyone that he's this great doctor. And so everyone is ends up making very bad decisions, as you will see in the book, as a result of this quest for fame. And it's actually something that I try to remind myself and talk to people about. We live in a stage where we dance for our supper, for want of a better term, right?
yes, yes,
Every little, we're all out there with a camera in our face acting out life. And
yes,
it's all out of the need or the wish to become the next viral sensation. And so it's kind of like, again, a cautionary tale for me to say, hey, there's a high cost to pay for this fame.
that's true. That's
And
true.
yeah, so it's really what the book delves into.
Okay, because
Yeah.
your content today on camera, even though you're trying to become the next viral person, maybe in Guyana. Well, I'm not sure if that's
Mm-hmm.
a thing, but but the content
It's the thing.
your content is the future of everything, and like you rightly
Mm-hmm.
say, that you do pay a price for that as well.
Yeah.
If you put yourself on social media and the things that you want to do and so forth, you are going
Yeah.
to pay a price for it. Last night I was watching
Mm-hmm.
on Netflix, and I realized how, in terms, even in a relationship, let's say if you were
Mm-hmm.
dating someone that was already popular, and then you got into the scene, and then people start commenting about you and so forth, and
Yeah.
saying all these bad things and so on. But are you really ready to deal with that kind of lifestyle?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
interesting, interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know that about the book. So you see, guys, this book is pretty interesting, just the way it looks with all this sci-fi thing going on. Because I remember when I saw this thing on Facebook, and I was like, "What's going on here? This is going to be like a movie or something like that."
It does. Yeah, I mean, you never know. You might see a movie come out at some point because it does have some commercial potential, I'm told.
Okay.
So, we'll see, but it does have a bit of sci-fi as well, because there is some time travel, but not in the traditional sense. So
Yes.
he's from the 1800s, and then he finds himself alive in modern day New York. So and then the book itself moves across three different timelines. So it's pretty interesting, in a very thin, in just about 250 pages. It moves very fast, as based on feedback, it moves fast, it keeps going, and so you never really get bored. And
Yes.
again, this is all just based on the feedback. This is not an author trying to sell her book. This is just what people have said.
Yes. But you know what? I mean,
Yeah.
what makes a great conversation, and I think the everything that you use, the visuals, the colors, the effects,
Yeah.
everything about it, and I think it create that conversation, and you probably can go on and on just basically talking about it. And I love the
Yeah.
idea and everything that you put into it, because it is not
Yeah.
just a book, but it is a
No.
book that has meaning. It is a book that
Yeah.
bringing that modern effect, even though you started years ago. Tell us about that.
It's like- so it's funny because just yesterday I was on my YouTube channel because I want to resume my vlogging, right, to try to
Yes.
educate people on the publishing process and the writing process. So I was on my YouTube channel back in the day when I was a young yam, as they say. I used to do vlogs. So I came across these two videos 9 years ago, from 9 years ago, when I was like, oh, help me write my book. And I was giving myself these hard deadlines. If by 2016 I haven't finished this book, I'm a failure as a writer.
Oh
So
my, I can
it
imagine.
was because so I looked at the video and I'm just like, this poor girl, she has no idea it's gonna be another 9 years. But the journey has really
Yes.
been just a matter of trying to find my way,
Yes.
because I wanted to do this. I didn't want to just write a book from beginning to end. I wanted to, when I brought it to life,
Yes.
if I decided not to go the traditional route, which I did not, I self published. If I wanted to self publish, I had to ensure that it was at a standard that could stand next to a traditionally published book. And there's a lot that goes into a piece of work for it to do that.
Of
So I had to take the time to find that out, because in Guyana, as you know, the creative industry is very quiet and it could be very lonely, as I've said previously. So you really just have to figure out, okay, what's next? Okay, I got a chapter now. What's the next step? Okay, when do you get editors to look at your work? When do you get this? It's so much. It's so
yeah.
much. So yeah, it just took time. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and timing is everything because I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned earlier that in Guyana, the creative world, it's very lonely. But I feel,
Yeah.
in a world like today, we're seeing so many things coming out of Guyana. We've seen so many creatives coming out of Guyana and so forth.
Yeah.
So I think even though you were waiting and you were in this whole confusion as to what's going on here, you're not
Yeah.
sure what you are about and so forth. But this time now that you have is actually the right time. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%,
Yeah.
because, it probably would not have been at the standard, or, I would not have been able to get the resources that I have now, as,
There
I'm
you go.
older. So I believe that everything works out for the best, but my next book is not going to be another 11 years. I promise. I already started that one.
Well, when I was on Amazon, I actually clicked to see if there was another book. But
Mm-mm. That took the whole time. That that one book took the
so
whole
now
time.
your readers, are going to be looking forward to another book,
Yes,
or
they are.
maybe or maybe a sequel, or maybe a movie, or maybe a
There's,
stage
yeah.
play, something to that
Well,
extent.
you haven't read the book yet, but you'll tell me if there's room for a sequel. I keep hearing that there is. So that
Okay.
could be book three as well.
All right, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, was there a particular character in Leech that was the most challenging to write?
The most challenging. That's interesting. So the three characters all have an interesting story on how they became developed. So, but if I were to say which was the most challenging, it would definitely be Ariane, because throughout the novel, even coming down to the end, it was like, okay, did I delve into her story enough? Did I pay too much attention to the other characters? But part of that is because Ariane, in a way, or in several ways, some of the characteristics that she has are my characteristics. And,
Oh,
it means that you have to bare your soul.
yeah.
And there's a little bit of reluctance, natural reluctance, I would say, to doing that too much. So I think maybe if I held back, it would have been with Ariane for a bit. But in terms of, I know you didn't ask me this, but I was definitely more attached to John Leech, who is the main character. Well, the
I was
main
going to go
antagonist.
there.
Okay, well, I'll let you go there, but definitely Ariane was the most
Okay.
challenging, and then Oscar was a surprising addition, but we can go into that after.
Okay, great. And you
Yeah.
said that in terms of how the characters develop in this book, because I probably read like an excerpt from the book, and you were
Hmm.
speaking about that, how this third character came into the picture of the book, and not to give out
Yeah.
all the information. But can you just give
Yeah.
us a little bit, like a teaser in respect to the three characters and how they were able to come together?
So right. So for so again, the book is about a writer. She lives in New York in the modern day, present day, and she encounters this being or someone who she thinks is a regular man. He just seems a little strange, and he tells her, I have a great story for you to write, and it's about my life. And she soon realizes that this is not a normal person. This is somebody who is possibly reincarnated. He's a ghost. He's some weird entity, and he starts to be evil. But then he forces her to write the book. The book becomes a bestseller, and now she has a story that is not hers, but she's famous for it, right? So she locks herself away in a psychiatric hospital, and she encounters a doctor who is now that's Dr. Oscar Pressum, and he is now trying to help her figure out, okay, what's wrong with you? Do you have PTSD? Is it trauma? So he's doing the clinical side of it while there's like a ghost haunting her. So
Okay.
it's yeah, so they interact very interestingly, and she's telling him, sharing parts of her book with Oscar, and that's how we see John Leech's world, which is from the 1800s from her book. So again, John Leech was supposed to be the Jack the Ripper type person, and I spent so much time building out his world and his personality. So there's a little book within a book there, because there's the book that she wrote called Leech.
Okay.
Ariane, as I mentioned, is kind of like me, so I didn't go into too much. But
Yes.
just she's really frustrated. But then Oscar, he was not supposed to even be a main character. He was just supposed to be the person she was talking to when in the hospital. But then I decided to see it from his eyes, and that's where the balancing of the science versus the supernatural came in.
Interesting. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah.
Not to give out too much of this book, ladies and gentlemen, you can get this book once again if you're watching. Please go to Amazon right now. I want Jasmine to see somebody purchase the book as we're speaking. It's not
Yes,
just
yes, that would
about
be cool.
exactly. It's not just about the sale, but this book obviously seems to be a very interesting thriller. So I want all of you to get this experience. So remember, if you're in Canada, if you're in the United States, you can go to Amazon right now and you can purchase this book as we're having this interview. So what is your connection between John Leach? What is it exactly that you like about him? And what's his connection with the two of you?
Everybody wants to know that. Like, somebody asked me, if I sold myself to the devil.
I know, right? Tell me about it.
And then at the launch, people asked, so how much of John Leach is in you? So,
That's right. People like
but
John Leach.
no, it's really, I think, okay, so look at it as like, okay, you're an artist and you have or you're a sculptor and you have a sculpture, right? You have
Okay.
this mold and you take your time to carve out this mold, and you're just now proud of this statue, right? I think that's the best way I can put my connection between myself and John Leach. I just set out to create a character that was interesting, commanding, perplexing, tough. I really just wanted to add all of the tough characteristics of an anti-hero slash antagonist, and see if I can make people like him. And
Yes.
so I think that is the challenge of writing, and sometimes the fun of writing, to see if you can evoke a certain response from people. And so far, people like him. So I mean, think of Hannibal Lecter, and
Yes.
there are a lot of influences from Hannibal Lecter in Leech.
Okay.
So think of Hannibal Lecter. Think of how he appears to be this charming person, and you're like, why is this person so well spoken, and why is he in a cage, right? So it's like, so it's that intrigue I sought to create, which is why I am so proud, I want to say, of the character.
Interesting. And you know what? And
Yeah.
this is the reason why I was saying that, we need to bring this character to life because
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many producers out there, persons with Guyanese background and so forth, with the experience in the industry for many years. I know of
Hmm.
one. I know for sure if he's listening, he's probably watching this live right now. He would definitely want to work with you and bring this character to life, not only for
Yeah.
the international stage, but for the local viewing as well, because we need to bring back
Hmm.
culture center, bring it back to life as well. And we would love to see
Yep.
something like this. I remember also being in high school when this novel came out, this Trinidadian writer, what's his name again? Samuel Sullivan, I believe. A Brighter Sun.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you
I know
remember.
the name. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
No, no, no. I know the name. Yeah.
yes. And then eventually it was a youth thing, but I can tell you this because I'm always like a visionary. I always think innovatively. So I would love to see Leech is one of the books in school. Probably one of the books that Guyanese can study as part of the English literature. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Definitely, it would have to be more UG than than high school.
Maybe because of
Definitely.
the adult scene and so forth.
It is definitely a little
Okay, all right.
heavy for high school. I mean, I
Okay.
did read Lord of the Flies. So Lord of the Flies, if I don't know
Yes.
if that was on your curriculum. So Lord
Yes.
of the Flies is a little graphic.
Yes.
So maybe, and it's the most graphic book that I can remember reading in high
Yes.
school. So maybe if we can match it up to Lord of the Flies, because
Yes.
maybe if it could be on the same level, fine. But I would definitely be more comfortable with it being in the hands of 18-year-olds, because there's a suicide in there. There's graphic scenes of murder. Um, so yeah, there's
No,
we're very graphic with
the
it.
reason why
So
I'm mentioning this because all the things that you mentioned, suicide, murder, all these
yeah,
different things, young people are obviously these days they're witness to all these things that are happening in Guyana,
yeah.
also
Hmm.
around the world too as well. And this is the reason why I'm saying because a lot of times we can't shy away from all these things because even when I read that book too as well, A Brighter Sun, there was some
Hmm.
of it. Also, there's another book called House Mr. Biswas and stuff like that. But there were so many love scenes and different things happening,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I would love
Yeah.
to see your book, and it gives you an opportunity as well, probably to tailor it to that level.
It could, because I mean I did already tailor it because it was way more gothic and dark before it got published. But then I realized, okay, gotta come out of my head and make it a bit more palatable for a wider audience.
That's right.
So I did tone it down.
Yes.
But I think, when I'm even thinking about books like the Chrysalids, those were some tough books. The To Kill a Mockingbird, they dealt with some very
That's
heavy
right.
themes.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, it's pretty. There's probably like one expletive in the book, like one single word. So oh, even White Sargasso Sea, that had suicide.
Yes.
So it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot happening. So yeah, I mean, now that we mention all of these examples, it's super possible that it could be in the syllabus. You never know.
Well, I hope the Minister of Education get a chance to have a look at this book, and not only to have a chance to look at the book, but just to promote Guyanese artists as well, who's doing this
Yeah,
job so far. All
yeah.
right,
Well,
good.
fingers crossed.
There we go. So, how much of your personal experience or observations influence the story?
Well, like I said, the main message of the obsession with recognition, it's something that has been on my mind as we've seen, the growth of social media and the
Yes,
internet, because
yes,
you just see more and more people doing so many things that are, in many cases, to the point that now there's I think people are now lying. There's skits that they're playing out as real, and so some of those things you want to just I wanted to pass on that message that it's not that serious.
Okay,
So
interesting.
but apart from that, it's more like my writing experience that I put
Yes.
in. Some of my frustrations. I had mentioned that before. So yeah, I think it's just my own experience and my parents' experience from being migrants in New York. What that looks like. So there are a few little Easter eggs, as you call them, in the book.
Okay. I'm wondering what those frustrations were.
It's just the subjectivity of the
Okay.
industry.
Yes.
A long time I've been trying to get some sort of help or recognition just like Ariane. You try, in many cases, people don't look at you as a writer unless you walk into a room and you've won this prize, right? Or
Yes.
you're part of this fellowship, or you're part. But in a country or a region where there's not a lot of that happening, we don't have a lot of prizes, right? Or a lot of platforms to show our work. So how else do you become a writer? And then when you try to go to these places, sometimes they have such high standards, and there's just high rejection rates. So it's like you're excluded, and when all you want to do is write and get trained for writing, but there's nothing there. There's only people telling you no. And
Wow.
so that is, yeah, so that is, and that has been a frustration over time. We say we want to help writers, but then we don't help writers.
Mm,
So there are
mm,
writers writing and submitting their work, and all you're hearing is no, no, no. But then when you tell them no, how are you helping them to get to the standard of yes? You understand?
true.
So that
Yes.
is really, that is one of my main frustrations. It's something that I would like to change, and be part of that change as well. So we need things that are present for writers to be able to train and get their work up to standard, and it needs to be consistent. It needs to be accessible,
Yes.
so yeah.
And this is the reason why I mentioned the ministry um, earlier, because I felt like there is a need for a number of different things, and I can understand some of the frustration that you go through. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
We know that Oprah do have a writing book club.
Mm-hmm.
Under your situation right now, a no writer at this time, do you have a writer's book club?
Funny you should ask. I started a book club, or I'm about to start a book club. It's starting small, and we
Okay.
are actually starting with Edgar Mittelhalzer's "My Bones and My Flute." So
Okay.
I'm currently reading that, and we're gonna meet later in the month for our first meeting, because I think those are some of the bodies, like I mentioned, that need to be active in country for writers, readers, to start that community. And as we have those and we're consistent with it, more people are going to come out. Through my announcement of the launch of the book, it also came to my knowledge two other book clubs that I didn't know existed. So they're out there, they're just very quiet, so it's just a matter of helping them to be a bit more visible.
That's right. And not
Yeah.
only visible, because the book club can contribute to so many different things, because as we know, a
Yeah.
lot of Chinese do struggle with reading, writing, and all of these things and so forth. And for young people who are
Hmm.
thinking about the craft, how to get
Yeah,
involved, how to get started if I want to write a book, I want
exactly.
to do a number of different things. And I know others are doing it as well, but I feel that this book club is going to be a positive contribution to society. Yeah, in
Yeah,
Guyana.
well, let's hope so. Yeah.
Okay. So you've become, so you've become the first female Guyanese writer um, residing in Guyana to publish a
Yes.
full-length psychological thriller. I don't know. I'm just thinking
Yes.
about the whole thing. How does that feel?
It feels like this huge responsibility, because
I
now
totally agree with
we're-
that. Okay.
it
I'll
feels
give
like,
you the word.
because, for example, like as soon as I launched the book,
Yes.
I was like, okay, I don't have any other books. So now I need to get a body of work, and I need to get a body of work
Yes.
faster than I did it initially, right? I'm not saying I'm going to finish tomorrow, but now it means that I have to be present and consistent, because what I've learned is that there is a need for it. People were so happy to see this genre coming out of Guyana. We've seen, I know we have writers that are abroad that migrate, and they're able to do big things, but we don't see it often here, being born here. So now that that has happened, I feel like there's a whole lot of responsibility on me to continue the trend, right? Continue the work, and to also help others, so that it could not just be me, you know?
That's right.
So yeah, it's a big job.
That's right. And I want to applaud you. So there you go.
Thank you. Very good, very good.
Yes. I want to I mean it's just that you fill in the gap, because you write a book of this nature, and we've watched many sci-fi shows, we've watched so many things on TV and so forth, but is it coming out of Guyana? right? And this is the reason why
Exactly.
I am
Yeah.
seeing a movie in the making. So you probably might
Yeah.
want to start thinking, how am
There's
I going
actually a
to?
competition asking yeah, there's a competition actually that I plan to the same award that the book was recognized
Yes,
for in manuscript form, which is the Page Turners Award. They also have a pitch fest where you can tell them that you want to see your work in print, and if they like it, they could pick it up. So I'll try. I mean, what's the worst they could say, right? No?
that's right.
Okay.
There you go.
So
So
yeah.
where is that?
Yeah.
Where's that event, and when is it happening?
So the paid no, it's not an actual event. It's just
Okay,
like a submission.
it's
So
something.
it's on their site. They're a UK, yeah, it's a UK award. So they usually make connections instead of just publishing. They make connections with agents for writers and kind of make get them into the industry. So Leech was identified for its potential for commercial success, right? But I just didn't want to wait on when they were saying, so I just went ahead and published anyway. But
Yes.
apart from that, I can also pitch to tell them that I would like to convert it into a movie, and I'm gonna do it. So
That's right.
yeah,
And give it your best shot, because I
yeah,
know all of Guyana is going to support, whether we're in the diaspora, wherever we are going to
yeah.
support you, Jasmine.
All right,
That's
thank you
what I
so
want to see.
much.
I want to see this book everywhere. I want people to buy it and support you
I
for the
really appreciate
work
that.
that you're doing and for starting this, because I know a lot more is going to come in the near
Yes,
future.
yes, yes.
So
With
what are
God's
the
grace, as they say.
Amen. 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 It's not a church
Yeah.
program, guys. And thank you so much for listening.
It's not.
please
It's
remember
not.
please remember to share the live, and so others can be informed about this book.
Mm.
So, as a Guyanese author, what unique challenges do writers in Guyana face compared to those in larger markets?
So when you okay, a vibrant writing community or any writing community needs to be vibrant, right? And by that, it means that you need to have opportunities or platforms or initiatives for training, right? You have to be able to get something to take your craft from raw talent to refined talent,
That's
right?
right.
We don't have much of that. After high school, where you have English A, English B, you do have a degree in English, but there's not a lot you can do with it apart from teaching, and that's the reality, right? There should be some sort of publishing mechanism. Again, that's another way to have a vibrant writing community. So you can train and then you can publish,
That's right.
right? But again, we don't have that. And the reason we don't have that is because, well, it's an expensive endeavor. And if you don't have a heavy reading community to purchase that work, it's not going to be viable. So there's that. And then, of course, there's support, right? People have to acknowledge the importance of writing and the creative industry, and they need to be able to invest in it.
That's
And
right.
so it's kind of like a circular type um, structure that you don't know where exactly is the beginning, right? You have to have the laws and the structures and the support and investment in place. You have to have opportunities for training, and then you have to have opportunities for publishing, prizes, book clubs, book fairs, everything that supports these types of activities and brings people together. We need more of that as well. So it's just that we're lacking the activity. Then we're lacking the infrastructure that's needed to keep writing vibrant. We do have an annual literary festival, but it's still very quiet. We do have the Guyana Prize for Literature, but again, that's the only prize that we have in terms of consistency. So it's just right now an empty space or a quiet space, and we need to fill it. Yeah.
You're touching on some serious areas, and I can see why you're touching on these areas, because
Yeah.
as a journalist, we're there to invoke.
Yes, of course, of course.
We're there to invoke. And you talk
Hmm.
about, you can have a degree in English, but how far do you go with that?
Yeah,
What are the opportunities that are available in Guyana? So those things are really critical, even graduating from high school,
mm,
all these different CXC subjects. But what is
yeah.
your next step? What is your next move? Do we have these infrastructures in place? guide our people in terms of different careers. And this is the reason why you're
Mhm.
here today, and this is the reason why you wrote this book. You know, others
Yeah.
can see that even though you have a degree in English, you can branch out into other areas and so forth. So that
Yeah.
that was really amazing that you mentioned that, because I feel it is something that we need. And by launch
Mhm.
book club, these are the type of conversations too that you can have within the book club.
Yeah.
Those persons can come and talk about their experiences and so forth. And also,
Mhm.
the book club can open opportunities. Not everybody wants
Yeah.
to work in the oil industry, right?
Yes,
Somebody
indeed.
got to be the writer. Somebody got to be able to
Somebody
hear
be,
the
but
technical
on that note
words.
though, I mean, it's
Yes,
more important because I mean, you
yes,
look at all the folklore stories that we have,
yes,
right? And then you look at the older generations of people who have those stories up here, right?
yes,
Now there are people who capture those, some of those stories, some of the folklore stories, but we need it in, again, long form
yes.
structure. We need it to be immortalized, and we need more people telling them.
That's right.
So because the people from those generations are gonna expire, for want of a better term, right? Or they're
Yes,
gonna move on. But
yes,
we need our generations coming up to be able to still narrate those stories and keep them, and even learn about those stories because they help with our identity,
that's
right?
right.
So yeah.
Man, you're touching on some serious areas here.
I didn't just write about the serial killer.
That's right. So, how important is it for you to tell stories rooted in Guyanese or Caribbean perspectives?
I think it's just what I touched on, so I probably jumped ahead of myself there,
That's
but
right. Yes,
it's about immortalizing who we
that's right.
are, our cultures, and then there's a particular way that we have to do it, right? Because if we just do it and we just do it for us, if we just do it in our language, then it's just going to stay in this space. But there's a way, once you want your work to go beyond the region to all the different corners of the earth so that anybody can understand it, there's a way that you have to kind of meet a middle ground so that they can understand. Somebody from Australia could then be interested in the Oleg story, right? Because we've made it in a way that is they can understand. So I think those are some of the it's important because we need to immortalize and we need to talk about it on a wider scale because we have such a rich and vibrant culture in the Caribbean. And how are we letting people know about it? We do have social media, we do see the carnival, we do see the food and the food wars, curry chicken, chicken curry, but there's some other stories that are more poignant, as they say, some deeper stories, deeper meaning, talking about our post-colonial life. A lot of those folklore stories have underlying messages, that are important. So
Yes.
definitely we need to immortalize those messages for our children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Identity.
And I totally agree. So, tell us a little bit about this identity. What's going on here with the hat, the everything? What was this about? This,
Are
I
you
think this was your book launch, but tell us the entire
it
outfit.
was you put me on blast. So it's actually, so it's the 1800s theme, and John Leech is very eccentric. So when you read about him, you will see that he's very extra, as is everyone from that era, right? The 1800s.
Yes.
So I just wanted to have a very modern slash 1800s look. So I wanted to be in the middle ground.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I believe you did a very good job there in terms of
Well, thank you.
bringing the entire setting to life, and
Thank
I
you.
like the candles and everything that you use. I mean, for a person with such creative idea, we just can't just allow it to just go just like that. We need to ensure that we nurture it and we also
Yes.
showcase it out there, which is really which is really important as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my, I'm loving it so far.
I'm happy that from what you're seeing, it's interesting to you. Because I mean, the
Yes,
most that a writer could ask for is for their work to be understood, right?
that's
So
right.
there you go.
That's right. Very captivating. Very captivating. So tell us about your sales right now. We have to still talk a little bit about marketing and things that are going for you. give
Yeah,
people an idea. Hey, you need to get this book because it's a book I feel that is going to resonate with a lot of us. And also, it's Guyanese. It was written by
it
Guyana
is.
by a
It is
Guyanese.
a Guyanese book.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
call it that.
Well, I'm so grateful, thankful because you were a little conservative when you're about to launch your book. You say, "Oh, I don't want to bring in too many." So, but thankfully, I sold out within the first week since the launch, and I'm super grateful for that because it really shows the interest that people have in just supporting the Guyanese book. And it is a Guyanese book. It talks about the Guyanese migrant life. It talks about life at home when you're away, when you're living abroad. But then, of course, it goes into some other stories. So it's a good book. It has good lessons. Don't take it from me. You can check some of the reviews on my channel or on Goodreads or Amazon. They're not a lot, but they're sincere and real reviews of people who purchased and read the copies from cover to cover. So I think it's just check it out. Some people who are not necessarily into thrillers have said that it has made them a believer. so look, at the very least it's entertaining. So, check it out for yourself and let me know what you think.
There you go, guys. That's a really good ad right there. So, continuing on this issue here in respect to your background. So, with a degree in both English and marketing, plus 15 years of journalism and 8 years as an editor. Wow, that's a lot
Yeah.
under belt.
Yes.
How have these different roles shaped your voice as a novelist?
Well, I think it turned out to be the right thing that I was doing all along because when I was leaving high school, I did want to have my bachelor's in English. This is 2005, right? And I remembered being deterred because people were saying, "Oh, you just want to teach." Right? So I ended up working in the meantime. But because, stubborn me, in
Yes.
my head, I said, I wanted to write no matter what. I need to write. And that's how come I got into journalism. And then after a while, journalism was a bit too hectic. You would know, right?
Yeah.
It was
Of
too
course.
hectic for me. So I wanted to just do freelance because with freelance, you could do feature writing, which is the more long form writing. But then I thought that marketing and communications helped in the corporate world. You were still writing, you still were able to access like press releases and create stories in some way, whether it's videos or other media. So everything that I did, I always wanted it to contribute to writing, which was at the core. And then eventually, when I was able to pursue my bachelor's in English on my own strength, right, I was like, okay, well, nobody can't tell me anything anymore. I got it. And so now it's just, I think everything ended up playing towards this final product because all of my professional experience helped with me understanding the craft of writing, the discipline that's required. And then, of course, the marketing that's required. I think that's the biggest challenge artists have, understanding marketing and understanding the business of the arts. It's hard to grasp because you're just so close to it, but my professional experience has helped me to keep an open eye and know what are the things I need to compromise on in order to push the product properly. So yeah.
Yes, and I feel the marketing aspect comes in very useful because
Yeah.
back in the day when I did journalism here in Canada, we didn't have any course in marketing. Like for example, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a freelancer and stuff like that, persons will ask you and said, "Oh, you work as a journalist, so how much money are you making?"
Yeah, you
You know
see
what I'm
that
saying?
that's always the concern.
Yes, but
Yeah.
the entire idea of doing it and then having that marketing feature that comes in to just cover it all. So now you know how
Mm-hmm.
to market yourself in that position. So marketing is always important. So for any program that you're doing, so even if there's some aspect of writing, there must be
Mm-hmm.
some aspect of marketing because we're going into a world where entrepreneurs are ruling things and taking control. So
Yes.
marketing is very critical.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's what marketing is very critical. I want to
Very, yeah,
play,
that's a very important point you made there.
yes, I want to play this little video that's in the background just to give people an idea. I found this on your Facebook and I felt I
Yes,
need to
the
play it.
trailer.
Yes.
Okay.
Persons can have an idea, and I will force them to go buy this book.
Yes. All right. Let's go. Sales.
Let's bring it up. So I probably will have
Yeah.
to remove your beautiful picture here. I don't know, it's just stuck there. And then let's see if we can bring this video up. Here we go. Here it is.
For the details of my... Let me start simply. For the details of my life become increasingly mangled as the years roll on. I was born on November 12, 1859, in a makeshift cottage in the countryside far east of London. It was 1 year after the Great Stink, so named after the crippling stench that erupted from the Thames as a result of years of undiluted waste. The stench permeated central London, enveloping the city and becoming a persistent nuisance over many years. It was a trying time for the living, just off the heels of multiple cholera outbreaks.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's the world. That's the world of John Leech. So it describes just how bad things were at that time.
Hmm. And then you talk about cholera outbreak. Like, I know Guyana had a situation like that a couple of years ago. How were you able to
Yeah.
tie that in respect to that world back then?
Well, it's actually what was happening. It's
Oh,
really just history. It's not that much there is fact. That was not fiction. That really is what was happening. So the Great Stink, like he described, happened between I think 1858 and I think it lasted for quite a while, but basically because hygiene was not at its best in those days, there was a lot of built up waste, and it fell into the Thames, which is the river, one of the main rivers in London. And because of that, it created a lot of disease, right? So it was at that time, it's why your life expectancy was very short. Medicine, there wasn't much cleanliness with it, so everybody was kind of just feeling around in the dark. So again, people didn't expect to live very long, and he was basically born in that time, so that's what he was introduced to.
hmm.
Yeah.
This guy needs to come to life.
Ah,
He
he
needs to come
is
to life
he's
because
very
I
much,
think
yeah, yeah,
he's such a
he is
special
very
guy.
much he's an intriguing character, I must say.
Yes. So walk
Yeah.
us through your writing routine. Are you a strict planner, or do you write freely and let the story just evolve?
Um, so it's a little bit of both. If you are a true writer, I think there's no one way that you stick to. You
That's
kind
right.
of write as it comes to you, and you just let the story flow. So for me, I usually try to plan out, even if it's just bare bones. I like to plan out what each chapter is going to look like. But as I've mentioned on other interviews, when there's something called being character led, or character led stories. So you need to one a good practice is to get to know your characters. You get to know them like a stranger. So it might sound weird when I say, John Leech talks to me, but it
Yes.
really is because you've built this character, you've given him a background, and you've given him a life, you've given him preferences and flaws and likes and dislikes. He becomes a character in your head. It's kind of like when a child has an imaginary friend. It's interesting how you make these connections, but they're real things that happen. So once that happens and you know your character very well and you place them in a scenario, sometimes you might have your setting, your setup, your outline, but then the character does something else because it's natural for their personality that you've created. So it's a bit of both. You set the world, you set the structure, and then you let your characters lead through that world.
Mm, what a way to
Yeah.
put it. And I like the
Yeah.
way you put it because in the writing process, things can change, right?
Yep.
And some people may see you being up late at nights, and you're like, "What are you doing on the computer?"
Exactly.
But
Exactly. But
you're kind of going over the information, and then there might be
yeah.
some other angle to it, and you're like, "No, this probably doesn't sound right," and you keep
Yeah.
changing it, and then
Sometimes you drive in and something comes to you like, okay, oh no, I can't write about it. So you get your phone and
that's
you
right.
record and be like,
That's right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're always busy doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Some people only see it for the monetary value, but there is so
Yeah,
much that
it's
you can
not.
get out of it. Yes,
You said it. There really is like a fulfillment to
that's
it. I mean, sometimes people might just, I think that's why people don't give too much seriousness to it, because they think, oh, you're just making up stories. But these stories have so much meaning and impact, depending on what the messages are. So I think it's just something we need to consider a bit more.
interesting. Yes, and
Yeah.
also, Jasmine, I know you're a busy person. How do you balance your work as an editor, writing coach, and also working with your creative projects? Like, how do you balance all of it?
Yeah. So I'm pretty much always busy or always doing something.
Okay.
Uh, my strongest um skill, for want of a better term, is definitely time management. I have
Yes.
schedules for everything, including rest, including the soft things that you would want. It's a little type A, but I think once you stick to it, you can fit everything in. Even if it's like a 10-minute nap or 5 minutes of writing, you get everything done.
Okay. Awesome. So, if
Yeah.
you're looking for someone to hire in respect to time management, please call Jasmine. Okay.
And there you go. I love that you're advertising for me in these different ways. I owe you.
It's okay. Also, what advice
Yeah.
do you have for young Guyanese writers who want to publish their first novel?
Okay. One would be keep writing, right? Don't stop, right? Have your body of work. It might be a little daunting, but there are now more than ever, there are platforms to get your work out there. But then that comes to my second bit of advice. Learn the industry. Learn what those platforms are. Learn what those opportunities are. Learn the structure of writing, and wherever you want to take your writing, understand what the steps are and don't drag your feet on it. Then don't wait for handouts. I know that's a tough one because it can be an expensive undertaking. But when you're in an industry that is not fully developed, or when you're doing something in a space that is where there is not sufficient resources, at the end of the day, if you really love this thing that you're doing, you're gonna have to do it on your own strength, unless and until other people see the value for it, right? And then just research is also important. If you're gonna do this, many times you might just have to self-publish, which in itself can be frowned upon if you don't do it well. So if you're going to take the self-publishing route, understand what the standards are and make sure that you put your work to the test to make it reach those standards. That's a lot of advice, but those are the set bits of advice I would give to young writers.
Okay. And how do you really get the recognition? Is it you talk about the standards? So, if you're going to publish a book, whether you do it by yourself or you
Yeah.
hire a publishing company, how do you get your book recognized? Because I feel people want to write a book, but what's the next process of getting your book recognized?
Yeah, so that's if you want to go to the traditional publishing route. So that's a whole conversation by
Okay.
itself. But in a nutshell, yeah, it's that if you're not if you're not publishing it yourself, which and you're finding a printer to package and you're doing your marketing, it means that you are expecting a publishing house to do that for you. We do not have traditional publishing houses in Guyana, and very few, if any, at all in the Caribbean. So most times our options have to be abroad. And as you go abroad, it becomes more competitive, right? And there's a whole process of reaching out to agents, because it's better to get an agent than a publishing house directly. And again, it's so much that you have to learn if you want to go down that road, and it's also super competitive. So honestly, you just again, know the process, do
Yeah.
your research. It's all online. It's just a lot of information. You just have to learn it.
And there's a cost attached to that as well. If you don't do
To learn the process, no, and to get an agent, no. In
oh,
fact,
okay.
your work just has to be interesting enough. And again, if you're competing with hundreds of thousands of other writers who are doing the same thing, it can and it does take a while. There are millions of writers online if you go on TikTok who are waiting for years and years, for agents, but they just keep going at it. It's not an easy process. That's why a lot of people end up being indie authors and publish their work themselves. But that in itself has its own setbacks as well. So, you know,
Yeah.
the whole subject.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And now you've
Yeah.
also received the Influential Women Leaders Award, and that's in 2025.
Yes.
What does
Yes.
that recognition mean to you?
It was, well, first, I was recognized because of my work in community service and communications, because I am a communications professional. And, it really just meant that I was being seen, because sometimes you're just moving through, getting work done. And that's me. I just go out in the day, put my head to the ground, and just move through, right? Just get it done. You don't stop to
That's
say,
right.
hey, I did this, or I don't have the time to do that, and that's not even being narcissistic. That's me being honest. By the end of the day, it's time to sleep and start the next day. So it felt good to know that somebody was paying attention, and it meant something to someone, outside of the fact that I was just doing my job. And so, it was an honor that I really do cherish, and I hope that I can help other women as well who might be interested in going along the same route.
Yes, and being a communication expert, it's a lot of work. It means a lot of research. It means, going back and forth and so forth. So
Yeah.
it's not just about being a narcissist, but it just puts you out there. You always busy,
Yeah.
constantly doing things here and there. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine in terms of the type of stuff that you have to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot happening at any one point in time.
And also, how do you see your role in mentoring and uplifting other writers across the Caribbean, not only Guyana, across the Caribbean?
I see myself, like I said, it's a big job I've undertaken. That we were discussing earlier, but I do remain available and willing to help. Um, and but of course, you have to want the help, right? So
Yes.
for me, it's if writers are interested, absolutely, I am willing to share my knowledge, share guidance. But of course, you can't force things down people's throats, because at the end of the day, a lot of artists also prefer to work in their own corners. So if they're interested, absolutely. But if not, I would still have my platforms where I'll be sharing information either way. So, it's just being there and not being a gatekeeper for information, just being open. And that's how I see it.
Awesome, awesome. So we will see you doing your book tour pretty soon in the Caribbean then.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
And
Let's hope.
also, I know you did mention earlier in the interview as we started. Can you give us a glimpse into what's next? Are you already working on your second novel? I know you said you don't have
Yes,
another one, but are you give us a little secret? You
I
probably
did. I did. Yeah, it's a little secret, but I did start my second novel. I don't want to give myself a timeline like the 2016 video. But I it's a modern retelling of the Moon Gazer story, but
okay.
it's just like Leech. It's going to place it in another time and another place, and it's gonna delve into the supernatural again versus reality, because I like that duality of things. So, I've got chapter one so far, but I don't know how fast I'm gonna get through this one. But it's not a race, because the creative process is very sensitive. So you have to let it unfold naturally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
As you were speaking, a question came to mind. How many Guyanese authors do you know?
Do I know
Yes.
personally, or know of? Because I know a
No,
long list of.
and probably personally.
Well, I know a few in the community. Like I said, it's very, very quiet. So
Yes.
I know a few writers, and through announcing, I've met some more writers through volunteering at the Guyana Prize for Literature, the literary festival. I've met some writers. So my knowledge is growing. My knowledge is growing. Let's say that. But before, maybe about a year or two, I didn't know very many. And if I did, it wasn't an active set of writers. Like we write, right, and that included myself. We write, but we're not like actively writing, because again, we don't have the environment for that to keep that going.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're coming down to the end of our interview. We can go on and on. Guys, thank you so much for staying here with us. um, listening to this wonderful young lady who has a really great book out there. You can also access her Facebook page and you can see more of that book. If you hoping and you really want to buy that book, it's on Amazon. Everybody buys from Amazon every single day. Please can go to Amazon. The book is not costly, like expensive. It's very, very affordable. So you can go there and get a copy of this book and also get into Jasmine's world with this book.
Mm,
I want to
yes.
see the movie. That's the only thing I'm interested in right now.
I know you keep calling for this movie. Now I'm definitely gonna have to do this movie. But don't worry, like I said, I'm gonna throw it out to the contest, and
Yes.
you never know.
All right. So where do you hope, as a matter of fact, where do you hope to see Guyanese literature in the next 10 years? And also, what role do you see yourself playing or shaping it?
Definitely. Oh, I just turned on the light. Look at me.
That's fine.
um, I definitely see a more active. I don't want to use the word prolific because being prolific definitely means a steady flow,
That's right.
but I would like to see a more active community for writers, right? So it's a matter of being able to have more activities, but training activities, not just events. We don't necessarily need a whole bunch of book fairs and a whole bunch of this and that to attend. We need programs to train us. So whether it's in high school, university, something that tells a young person that there's an opportunity to train my writing craft, to hone my writing craft, and somehow earn from it. And that will encourage people to produce more. And then when you produce, you'll have something to do with it, right? You have somewhere to put it. So I think it's a simple dream, just having something that's active and alive.
Yes, I was just basically saying that in Guyana of itself, now that your book is out there, everyone is seeing it, and people are a lot more interested in this book. In Guyana, do you see this club that you have and others collaborating, and now we can actually have a book club that we can say this is the book club in Guyana. So if you're thinking about writing, if you have an idea, or let's say if you want to go maybe on a Friday or a Sunday afternoon, listen to some writers and so forth. How do you see this happening in Guyana?
Well, we do have book clubs. Like I mentioned, I found out about two book clubs after announcing my launch, and I'm also about to start a book club. But book clubs by themselves, they can't be too big, and they don't necessarily do more than bring people together to read and discuss. So there's still other initiatives I think that could go along with book clubs. So bringing a book club to keep the reading interest alive is great. So those book clubs that I know of, they're reading Guyanese fiction, they're reading international fiction as well. So it's good that they're there. But the other items that I'm talking about are more targeted to writers because book clubs are more for readers. Targeted to writers, training, workshops, fellowships, book fairs to help them to sell their work, to be able to get a profit off of their craft. So those are some of the things I mean that we need more of.
Interesting. Good. Hmm.
Yeah.
So this means my idea is going to work in Guyana.
All right. You got to tell me your ideas offline. Offline. We'll discuss.
I know there's so many different ideas that are flowing through my mind right now in respect to what we're seeing
Yeah.
happen in Guyana. I've noticed there was like an open mic. It's something that I usually go to sometimes in Toronto, where we see people actually, come with their talent and so forth, whether it's poetry and different things and
Yeah.
so on. So when I was speaking about the book club in that sense, it's like a Friday
Hmm.
evening where you can go like to a pub and
And
so
get
forth.
that. Okay.
Yes. It's basically thinking innovatively
Some of those
and
things.
also using
Yeah.
that marketing strategy as well and getting the book out,
Yeah. To
getting
do
the
that.
name out.
Yeah. So we can definitely, those are things that we can definitely think of.
Yes.
But I always keep saying, we always jump to events first, but we
Yes.
need the for me, the priority is to get programs,
Okay.
right? It's not the events are gonna come, but we need the programs because we're writing, but our writing based on like feedback from judges and these different things and other programs that I've encountered is that our writing needs training and it's a fact, we are when you're in a space where there's not much training, your talent is raw. right? And it's great to have raw talent, but then when you put it up to stand next to other persons who have those mechanisms in their country to train them, then you see the shortcomings. We don't understand, simple processes that need to go into certain forms of work and so on. So it's just a matter of getting more knowledge about that. Yeah.
And I've been advocating for that over and over and over again, maintaining that level of professionalism, following the processes, in respect to
Yeah.
certain things and so forth. And like I
Yeah.
said, we are thinking alike because we obviously coming from a very similar background.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we always have an interest in the community and
Yes.
seeing things evolve in the right way. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Jasmine, I want to say thank you so much for coming out here. Thank you for accepting this
Thank
invitation,
you.
for being part of this show. I know that
Thank you
you
so
will
much.
to give us an update in respect to your new book that you'll be writing.
Yes.
So, so finally, before we
Yes.
close, and is there anything that you want to say before I ask you my final question? Any shout outs? Any, yes.
I just want to I've been thanking everyone since the announcement and since the launch. I really just want to thank Guyanese, especially at home and overseas, wherever they've seen the book, they've tried to support, and I'm feeling that support. So, it shows that they're out there, they're interested, they're hungry for it. We just need to bring the work. So thank you to everyone who has messaged, shared congratulations, bought the book, most importantly. I am extremely grateful, and I will continue to bring good stories from Guyana, and I look forward to your support.
Awesome. And where can we find the book?
Yes, the book is currently available on Amazon. Now it should be, if you're in the UK or Canada, you should be able to find it, but if not, Amazon.com, Leech by Jasmaine Payne. And it's available in ebook and paperback versions. For persons at home, I will be bringing in more print copies, and I'll be placing them in Austin's. But you can get them in Amazon in the meantime. So Austin's and a couple other places will have it really soon, and I'll also do a pop-up to sell some more books.
Leech by Jasmaine Payne. So there you have it. If you're now tuning in, you can go back. This interview is going to be on my page. Not sure if it's on Jasmine's page as well. It will give you some idea as to what's going on here in respect to this book. But let's say, for instance, if you want to purchase this book, like Jasmine says, it's on Amazon. You can also reach out to her directly. The name is very simple, Jasmaine Payne. You can find her on Facebook. And Jasmine, where else are you? Are you on Instagram? You're on TikTok?
I'm on Facebook, yes. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, author Jasmaine Payne or Jasmaine Payne author. You just have to spell my name right.
And that's Jasmaine, Jasmine.
Yes, correct. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So thank you so much for being part of this show, and we
Thank you
will
very much for having me.
right back. And Jasmine, you can come back at any time so that we can, give our viewers an update as to what's going on. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let me start simply, for the details of my life become increasingly mangled as the years roll on. I was born on November 12, 1859, in a makeshift cottage in the countryside far east of London. It was 1 year after the Great Stink, so named after the crippling stench that erupted from the Thames as a result of years of undiluted waste. The stench permeated central London, enveloping the city and becoming a persistent nuisance over many years. It was a trying time for the living, just off the heels of multiple cholera outbreaks.